Welcome to Prepper Talk Radio. This is Scott and Shane. Welcome back, Shane.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
And this is Radio for the Ready-Minded. And it is awesome to be here. We are in the studio, our new studio. It is beautiful. And we got a radio recording going on in the background.
Yes, Kristen, we've got a radio recording going in the background. There we go. Just bring it down.
I fixed it.
Just bring it down.
I fixed it. I did something wrong, but I fixed it. So, we're excited. We're excited for the apocalypse, right? We're excited for the apocalypse that is our show every week to be a conundrum in the world of radio. We are the longest-running, only live radio broadcast preparedness radio show.
I'm digesting this as you
that
speak.
I've ever come across.
Before. No, I think you could very well could be right.
I've searched the interwebs, and everyone else is just a podcast or a private, they quote, air quotes, radio, but it's not a real broadcast radio
live
show.
Broadcast radio show. So we're definitely very proud to be part of the family here at K-Talk, and we very much appreciate your listening and tuning in, as well as your thumbs up on our Facebook page and your comments. Of course, we love to interact with you, so feel free to like us on Facebook and follow us and comment.
Hit us up on Facebook.
It's really
K-Talk is the page. It's really easy to find. Just KTALK. KTKK on Twitter, K-Talk on Instagram. We're everywhere. And follow us at ktalkmedia.com. On our website, you can see a little bit more about all the different hosts, the different shows, and what's going on. And if you want to sponsor any of the shows, if you want to be an advertiser on the network, get on over to the website, fill out the request form, contact information is right there. And our team will take really good care of you.
And tell your friends about us as well. Now, if you like the programs you listen to here, please spread the word.
Yeah, definitely support. So today, now that Shane's back and I'm back, we're both back.
I'm back, but I don't know if I'm back yet, you know? I'm back physically. I don't know if I'm back fully mentally.
Still on vacation?
Well, it's just been a
work vacation
interesting week.
Count.
Yeah, well, and it wasn't much of a vacation either, but we won't go into that. But
I kind of feel like we have to now. You owe it to our listeners.
Well, we went on vacation down to a Caribbean island, and my wife was injured, and it wasn't much fun. So let's just stop right there. And so it wasn't much of a vacation at all. It was more of a let's get back home as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
kind of survival situation. So it was a little bit of training, a little bit of practice. The mind kept sharp that way.
Good practice. I don't think Lisa liked it so much.
No, she did not.
But you loved it? You loved that practice?
No. Well, the practice, I didn't care much for it either. But I see.
Nobody
what
should. Nobody should really love that kind of practice.
Exactly, and that's why I think one of the reasons why I'm very much a homebody. When I go on vacation, it's going to be either a staycation or it's going to be not very far, where I could walk back if I had to. So that's kind of the criteria for a lot of things that I do, right? So we've talked about this before. I prep my vehicle. I have in there, if I get stuck a couple hundred miles away, I have to have what I need with me in order to walk back home if needed. So that's kind of where a lot of my preps start, right? Is that, but if you're on a Caribbean island somewhere, that goes all the pot.
It goes back to the Ready Radius, which we've talked about so many times, is making sure you have what you need to get you to the next ring of protection.
But how do you prep for that when you're flying 3,000 miles away? How do you prep that radius?
Okay,
there's a cruise ship. I am going to get myself onto that cruise ship if I possibly can. So those are the kind of thoughts going through my head while I walk in the beach.
I'm going to evade security to get onto that cruise ship.
I got to somehow get on this cruise ship, because otherwise I'm not getting back anytime soon. So, unfortunately, those are the thoughts that go through my head when I'm on vacation, right?
Yes. And it's a crazy yet fun type of thing. So, now that you're off vacation, let's jump right in.
I need to go on vacation now.
No. You've been on vacation far too long. Well, welcome back, Shane. And those of you who are listening still to our witty repartee and our confusing conundrums.
Kind of lame, though.
We're awesome. And don't listen to Shane when he says we're not awesome. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the K-Talk show. Thank you for being part of the K-Talk network and family. And we have a challenge for you.
We do have a challenge. And I think this came from my inspiration from Scott and Zach and Chris last week. When Zach and Chris are going on their own 30-day survival challenge.
They're on day 2 right now. Or actually, technically day 3.
So they're actually into it.
They're into it. They started Wednesday.
I didn't realize that. Okay. So we want to participate along with you, if you would participate with us in we'll call it a 30-day challenge. We'll call it the November Challenge for all of our listeners as well as ourselves. And I've already started to partake in this. I've already started to warm myself up into this challenge. And so essentially what this challenge is I kind of picture it like, do you remember the old Hooked on Aerobics TV show on PBS?
Nope. Okay, I never watched that garbage.
This was 80s.
My mom watched
This was
it.
80s Hooked on Aerobics, right? And so there's
that and
an
the
extreme level,
jazzercise and all that other fun stuff.
Exactly, and you can exercise at different levels, right? There's the mild, medium, and extreme. Advanced, exactly, rather than extreme. But this way we can go from the beginner, intermediate, and extreme, or however you want to approach this. And the beauty about this challenge is you can approach it any way you want to, extreme or mild. And so the month of November, each week we're going to take a segment and talk about our challenge to you. So this week, our first challenge is to live on 1 gallon of water per day for this week. Now,
that's easy if you don't drink anything and you don't shower.
And you don't, exactly. So there are some caveats here. You can adjust this. Like I say, this is like Hooked on Aerobics. You can adjust this however works best for you. But I think the idea is that it's going to may wake you up to say, you know what, that was a lot more difficult than I thought it was. I need to adjust my plans. Mm-hmm. I need to adjust my preps, and then maybe try it again. So start with 1 gallon of water per day, and that's kind of the absolute, I wouldn't say absolute minimum. You can survive if you're just drinking water on less than 1 gallon a day, right? But 1 gallon is kind of absolute minimum recommended storage water in your home for absolute minimal needs of drinking, mm-hmm. cleaning, preparing food, and that kind of stuff. And it really is not enough for really bathing or washing clothes or any of that stuff.
No, it's not.
So
this is going to be interesting.
The challenge is, like I said, take this at any step you'd like, from lifting your knees up halfway to kicking your heels up in the air, right?
So I mean I hate the 1 gallon of water a day rule that a lot of people fall under. Mm-hmm. I always try to have at least 2 gallons of water per day per person.
Yeah, absolutely, and I totally agree. But I think this is where it's a good place to start.
So it's a tougher rationing challenge.
It is a tougher rationing.
See how long you can last.
See how do it for a day. Forget a week.
1 day's easy.
Do it for a day.
1 day's easy.
But then I think you'll start to see. Well, you know what? This gallon didn't really go very far, right?
No, it doesn't.
And then you can see what you can do with a gallon and what you can't do with a gallon. And then maybe the second day, you step it up a little bit when you go 2 gallons. Or actually, I think I have it backwards. 1 gallon a day is like kicking your heels up into the air, right?
Yeah, that's I'm jumping off platforms and doing backflips during my.
Or maybe that level is collecting rainwater, purifying it, and that's. That might be kicking your heels up in the air. That may be the extreme level, but somewhere around the middle of the road, 1 gallon, 2 gallon, 3 gallons. Obviously, 3 gallons is better than 2 gallons a day to live on. But pick one of those levels, mm-hmm. and I'm just throwing out 1 gallon a day. Maybe that's kind of the intermediate or the mild, mm-hmm. And see how you do. Go for a day. Go for 2 days. Go for 3 days. And obviously, some of us, I've got to work. I can't stink, right? So I'm going to make a few exceptions. I'm going to shower in the morning, right? Mm-hmm. But throughout the day, I'm going to do my best to stick to that 1 gallon per day.
So what if you're on the road and you've got to use somebody's restroom?
And see, that's a whole other
aspect. Are you going to take your gallon of
well.
water with you and use just your water to wash your hands?
Sure. I mean, yeah, again, it's like the Hooked on Aerobics. Take it to whatever level you want to, right?
All right.
But I think, again, it depends on your work, everything you do. If you can stay at home, or what your situation is.
See what you can handle. I mean, because honestly, in a disaster scenario, you're not going to be going to work like that every day.
Exactly.
All right. You're not going to be showering every day.
But we still have to go to work now. We
so
still have to
see what you can do now. Give yourself a good dry run. Get it? Dry run.
Literally.
And really find out what your capacity is, because you may be surprised at how far you can get, mm-hmm. but you also may be completely exposed as to how much work you need to put together to get better prepared.
Just take, for example, I'm going to heat up a little bit of water. I'm going to wash my face down. At the end of the day, I got to get cleaned up. I'm a little, I've been out working, whatever, picking fruit or whatever, and I'm gonna heat some water up. I'm gonna wash my. How much water is that going to take? Is that going to take a liter? Is that going to take a cup or two? Mm. So I think when you really start to get down to how much water it really takes to moisten a washcloth? Are you going to go to a smaller washcloth? Are you going to go to a bigger washcloth? What can you accomplish with that, and how fast is your water going to go away? So I think it takes all these little experiments, which again, hooked on aerobics. Do it as you're able to. I couldn't do anything today, but I went and took your advice, and I'm going to see how much water it takes for me to basically wipe my whole body down, give myself kind of a sponge bath, right?
Well,
do those little experiments.
What if you actually have body wipes stored?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Can I use those instead?
I know Tim.
That's what Tim Ralston
does. He loves the body wipes. Yeah, absolutely. If that's part of your preps, absolutely.
All right.
Because I think in the future, some of our challenges are going to be to live off your food storage, whether it's for a day, whether for 2 days or a week, or the whole month. This is up to you guys how you want to approach this. Another week is going to be sleep out in the tent in your backyard. Do it for one night. Do it for 3. Do it for the entire month.
All right.
Whatever works for you, that you get a little bit of a vision.
Whatever you can handle.
Exactly.
Whatever you can make work. I mean, because there's some climates and temperatures that will work, or it may not work. Or
we're getting cold.
Yeah.
And you can kind of, if you don't backpack or camp out, you can kind of start to get the feel of, man, it got cold last night. What do I need to do tomorrow night to be more comfortable? So these are going to be our challenges to you as we go along.
Well, and what's fun is Shane gives me a sneak peek for just a few minutes leading up into the show, so I don't really know what's coming. I can't turn that up because the other show's going. Shane.
I see.
I love you, but no.
No, I was just thinking, it's 20 minutes, so it's time for commercials, but... I'm
waiting for that counter to finish, and then I'll move it over.
All right. I guess we'll just keep talking.
Keep jabbering on.
All right. That's the word I was looking for, jabbering. So I guess also part of this challenge is sanitation.
Exactly.
I mean, you've got to...
That's the part that's the hardest.
Exactly.
Because
very difficult.
Drinking water, I mean, when everyone says, you need a gallon of water a day, well, you don't drink a gallon of water a day. I don't know anyone that does.
Every time you flush the toilet, there's a gallon right there, right?
Or a gallon and a half, 2 gallons, depending on your toilet.
And we're not going to... It's part of this challenge, you don't have to go out back and dig a cat hole, right? You don't have to go out back and use the bathroom out back, right? That's... I mean, if you want to take it to extreme, feel free. I'm not going to recommend it if you live in a subdivision, right, in a suburban or urban area. But take it as the opportunity to really realize how much water you're using every single day. I think most of us really take it for granted how much water we use.
Absolutely. What can you really do when you cut down your resources? And I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised the longer you test it out and try it out.
Pleasantly surprised as in it'll be a good learning experience, right? To say, okay, how do you clean your countertops with very little water? How do you clean your bathroom with very little water? Are there different methods of doing dishes with less water, using less water? And when you only have a certain amount of water in storage, that resource becomes very valuable,
very limited, very quickly.
I think exactly, and I think the idea is change the mindset, change it up, live as if you're rationing, as if things are scarce.
Can you get by with just the water you've already stored?
Yeah,
I don't want you guys pulling new water out of the tap. I want you using just
preferably
the water you've stored.
Preferably, yeah. Go to your water storage and use that, and that'll also prove if your water's going to get you sick or not, right?
Well, the other nice thing is you can, if you like, I've got the little 7-gallon jugs as well. Mm-hmm. That's a gallon of water per day for 7 days.
Okay.
So each person, I can just slap a name tag on it, and it's like, okay, here's yours, here's mine, here's the other one, right?
No, that's a good idea.
And see how far that takes you in the week, and we'll probably be surprised in 3 days. We're more than halfway.
I used all mine the first day. Oh, well, you're not sharing any of mine. But.
And it'll be a big, huge wake up call for us to identify. Okay, well, what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah, and I think a key part of it is turn your water off to your house. Mm-hmm. So nobody can really cheat. Whether it's out at the meter, which would be a more secure way to turn it off. Go to your water meter, get your long
your big
key out, and turn it off at your water meter, so that nobody in the house can cheat. Again, hooked on aerobics. You take it to whatever level you want.
Absolutely.
Or turn it off a valve inside your house as well. So, I think that's all I had for the challenge this week. Take this week as an opportunity to focus on your water needs. Well, actually, we'll say this since it's Friday, take this next week, starting, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, whenever you want, take this next week to focus on your water.
And we'll check in next Friday. We'll talk a little bit about what the experience was like, and then we'll give the new challenge for the next week. Okay, challenge done. Now I want to talk about, kind of the colloquialisms, or not really colloquialisms, but the sayings and phrases that we use that are from yesteryear, that oftentimes you don't really think what it means or what it is, or where it came from.
Again, kind of look to the past, right? To prepare for the future. I constantly love to look to the past for not just preparing for the future, but to maybe improve my quality of life, because we're so electronically based here and digital and it's kind of fake. It's not real. So
it's a false perception of reality.
Absolutely, I believe so.
Yeah.
So looking toward the past, and I felt that this was probably a good way to kind of gauge where we're at. Go back and look at some of the old sayings from yesteryear, and we still use a lot of these things today. I do. I know I do. Obviously my kids don't use most of these, but and there's an awful lot of them. There's a huge list of these things. So where I wanted to start, Scott, and I'm going to throw this one out as kind of a warm up, is, and again, this is, you've heard this a million times, 2 heads are better than 1. And I threw that out because it's just you and me, Scott, you and me here. I know I don't like doing this alone. Okay. I'm sure you don't like doing. 2 heads are better than 1.
So am I trying to guess the origin first?
No.
It's just what it means.
We can definitely talk about the details of some of these, but I just wanted to throw that out. 2 heads are better than 1. I think we get too selfish, right? We get too self-centered. And so I think maybe that's where I wanted to start out, giving you a compliment, Scott. You and me, 2 heads are better than 1. That's all where I really cared to go on this one, Scott.
So basically meaning that 2 people together thinking about how to solve a problem are more effective than just one, right?
Absolutely. And a lot less dead air time as well.
Yeah, I guess so. Now, the origin of this, you can actually trace it back according to John Nussbaum. It actually goes back to John Hayward in 1546. So that's been around quite a while. So 2 heads are better than 1.
2 is better than 1. All right, the second one, which is going to be, surprise, surprise, is financial, right?
Okay.
Or do you want to take a turn?
You're going to say a penny saved is a penny earned.
That's exactly what I was going to say. A penny saved is a penny earned. I've heard this, obviously, since I was a kid.
Okay.
On the PBS specials on TV, whatever. A penny saved is a penny earned.
Which is a garbage phrase in our society today, because people don't recognize the true statement of what he's saying.
Exactly. And because it really costs more to produce a penny than a penny is actually worth, than it'll actually
in
buy.
our current economy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. We've by taking ourselves off the gold standard, we've kind of screwed ourselves in what true value is.
Currency's been devalued, right? And
so a penny saved is a penny earned. Back then, a penny saved was always hard to do. It was a lot harder to do.
Absolutely. No, you're right. Absolutely.
But also, by saving a penny, your value is going higher. It starts working for you. And it's earning value. It's earning, but you've also earned by being able to do that.
And I think the word I wanted to point out is save. We hear this word. It's way overused nowadays. The word save. I saved this. I saved that. Which in most cases is not true at all. Like you get a 20% off coupon. Oh, you saved. Like you go to you go to Kohl's, right? And you get 20% off here.
20% off when you buy $70 or more.
So you saved $257 today when you only spent $50, right? That is an absolutely wrong way to use that word. You didn't actually save anything. You just did not spend that money.
When they first came out, when coupons first came out, the intent was for people to use the coupons on things they're normally buying, and then take all the money that they didn't spend by using the coupons and take that and put it in the bank. That was the intent.
That would be true saving.
And then marketer guys like myself came back and said, "Wow, we can use this to make more money for us." And then the money they save, we can tell them to now spend on XYZ product, right? And so now, we'll give you 50% off if you buy $80 or more, or we'll give you 30%, and they start using those gimmicks. And now we outspend our budget, and that's why we see so many people in such great bondage of debt, because they're not saving that money as it's intended to have been done.
Exactly. And you hear the wife went out. She went shopping, and I'm just throwing this out there. She went shopping. Oh, look, honey, I saved $50. Well, okay, show me in an account where you saved that money. Where does And I don't like putting money in banks. So
and don't say just your wife, because the husband can do this. Usually, the husband blows this even worse than the wife can, because the wife will be buying. Well, no, traditionally,
you're right.
If it's a traditional household, the person taking the housekeeper, the house maintenance, the house management, the surveyor of all that is, and making sure that it doesn't go falling apart, is typically, the wife, right? And the husband is, I'm here to fix things, I'm here to provide, right? That's the typical. That's been the historical context. So whoever it is that's actually going and buying the groceries, buying all those needs, they're typically a lot more aware of the family budget than the person, historically the dad, right?
And like you say, if
who then goes out and is like, oh, we saved $50, I'm buying a new truck. It's only going to cost me $50 extra a month than what we're spending now, and you're saving that on groceries. And now he's just wrecked the whole budget.
Well, yeah,
which is a lot more what happens.
No, you're absolutely right. I think
so. Stop harping on the ladies, dude.
I apologize. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I'm just a guy, and so I'm going to also use the opposite, right?
I know.
I'm going to say, "Oh, Scott, look what you." Anyway, so, but yeah, I wanted to bring up the word "saved," right? It's not what it actually means. Saving means putting that money
setting
away,
it aside,
not necessarily in a bank.
Else.
I'm not a fan of banks, but putting it aside and actually not spending it and saving it. And of course, if you can earn interest on it, fantastic, But just not spending it is the big hard part right up front, right? Because like you say, we're so conditioned to going out and saving money. Oh, let's go save some money by spending it. Doesn't make any sense. All right, next one. Do you have one, Scott?
Yes.
All right.
Use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without.
I love that one.
My grandma Packer, my mom's mom, said that to me. I don't know how many thousands of times as a small child.
That's real saving right there.
And
that's real saving.
And it's being frugal, but making sure you're not wasting. And I think that's my favorite part about it is you're not wasting anything.
Waste not, want not.
Waste not, want not. If we take care of the things that we have, they're going to take care of us longer.
And it's all about attitude as well, right? Mm-hmm. If you have the attitude of a penny saved is a penny earned, waste not, want not. Like you said, use it up, wear it out, make do or do without. You're going to take care of your stuff better. You're going to probably buy better quality stuff up front, right?
Hopefully,
and then take care of it.
And even if you can't afford to buy better quality stuff, just take care of what you have so that it lasts longer. Because oftentimes the things that we have, they'll say, "Oh, it can be Best Buy or used by." They have these weird, dates that the manufacturers put on there just to try to get you to go out and buy another one, right?
Yeah. Well, it's of course it's legislated. It's by law they have to put that on there.
There's not a uniform law for all of those.
Okay, right.
It's different for each type. So the manufacturer, there's a new law that's been put out to do that, but there's no hard and fast one law that rules it all. Okay. And so that's the problem is everyone's like, oh, it's Best Buy.
It's definitely a marketing issue.
And they're trying to get you to use more and waste more.
Mm-hmm.
Or
just throw it away.
Expired now, throw it out and get another one.
Exactly. When it's still perfectly fine for 100 years probably.
And the tools that we use, my dad's tools from my childhood are made far better than the tools I can go buy now. Mm-hmm. So if you can find tools and things at yard sales, especially older neighborhoods, that's the best place to find them. Because you're going to get a huge savings, but it's going to be earned quality.
Yeah, and the tool may look worn out and used and not very attractive. I mean, new tools are cool. They're shiny.
Shiny.
And
the new tools smell.
Us guys, we love. There you go. And then we love new knives. We love all that. But how many knives does each one of us have that we don't use very often? I've kind of to the point where. I don't use this, and it just sits there, and I feel bad about that. So I'm going to give it to somebody who will, or sell it rather than take some of that money and put it into something else. And so I think it's just mentality, changing your point of view, going back to the old ways.
Yeah, I mean it's just taking better care of the things you have. Don't buy a bigger house, buy a house that's easier to take care of. Don't buy the nicer car. Take care of the one that you have. If it's running great, keep it running.
Agreed.
My car has 315,000 miles on it. It runs pretty dang good for 315,000 miles.
272,000.
Right? Mm-hmm. So the longer things last is attributed directly to the better care we take.
But Scott,
of
it's not worth putting that kind of money into a vehicle because it's not worth as much as the repair. You might as well put that into a new car. There's definitely, again, that's not the old way of thinking. That's
Right.
the new way of thinking.
That's the new way. That's the wasteful way of thinking. So if you have a quote and you want to get on air with us
we'd
and
love
talk
to
about
hear
it, 801-254-1640 is the main line number.
Okay, here's another one.
Route it to this because that's not the same number. I hope it works.
So here's another one, and I know you've all heard it. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. What does that really mean? An ounce of prevention, a little bit of prevention, is a lot better than throwing a lot of cure at it, a lot of whatever it might be. A lot of healing time, a lot of money to fix a problem that you could have resolved when it was a small issue. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I think we're all looking for the quick fix, right? And again, if you take your vehicle and you maintain it, you take care of it, it's going to cost a lot less than to fixing that big problem in the end. Kind of a lame example. But
well, no. Let's simplify it a little bit more on a vehicle. If you take the time to take the brakes and pull the pads off when they're going down, before there's, as soon as they start squealing, you go get them changed. Don't let it keep rubbing. Don't let it keep warping, right? Because as soon as it warps your disc,
brakes are a good example.
Now you've got to replace
calipers,
the pads,
and
the calipers,
rotors, and all that.
You've got to have the whole disc. It's got to be machined.
Far more expensive.
And you've gone from $60 to $80 to $350 to $500, right? An ounce of prevention to that pound of repair. We need to be a little more wise with what we're doing. Same thing, medically, I think is the biggest and best example. If you have a fester in your toe and you can fix it, but if you ignore it and then later all of a sudden you've got to have your entire leg amputated, there's a big difference there.
If only Tom Hanks would have gone to the dentist before he got on that flight to that FedEx flight.
FedEx.
He wouldn't have had to take that ice skate to his tooth and bang his tooth. I think that's a perfect example as well. Just like your brakes, go to the dentist, take care of your teeth.
Yep.
You never know what's gonna happen next. you might just get stranded on a desert island.
That's awesome.
Okay, here's one I found that I had not heard before, but I really loved it. It doesn't have a whole lot to do with preparedness, but it goes like this: worrying is just praying for what you don't want. Worrying is just praying for what you don't want. And I think, if we spend too much time dwelling on our problems, how much more would we benefit praying for the opposite? So I just wanted to throw that out there. I thought I really liked that one, and I wanted to share that one with you. So moving on, another one that I think is perfectly appropriate to prepping and preparedness and survival is another one you've all heard. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step.
Yes.
I think that's perfectly appropriate for this much challenge.
Okay.
As well as what we do every day in trying to inspire you to get off your butts, get off the couch, right?
Good luck, right?
Yeah, of course, I don't know you guys what you're doing. Maybe you're probably much better preppers than I am, that we are. You're probably doing a lot more than we are.
I would hope you're at least doing something, right? Anything is better than nothing, and that's that first step. My dad, growing up, this was there were two quotes that he would use from, I don't know where he got them, but I've heard other people share the same thing with me. But one of them was, no matter where you go, there you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that one.
I hated that one. I hated that one growing up because I heard it all the time.
I didn't really understand what it means.
Well, no matter where you go, there you are.
That's where you are.
What does that even mean? I'm like fourth grade. Dad, what does that even mean?
Well, that's pretty obvious what it means. I'm just right wherever I'm at. That's
what do you want it to mean? And I'm like, I'm
trying to get you to think, right?
But it really comes down to the fact that you cannot escape you. You cannot escape the problems you put yourself into until you learn how to solve them, because you're going to take those problems everywhere you go. You cannot escape you. So whatever level of character you are, whatever level of morals you have, those are going to go with you wherever you go. You can't...
See, there's our music.
There's our music.
I was just right on time.
Perfect timing. Hey, guys, we're going to be right back. Listen to our sponsors this time, and you're listening to Prepper Talk Radio on K-Talk AM 1640. Well, welcome back to Prepper Talk Radio. This is Scott and Shane, and we've got our first guest caller that is actually calling to be on the show.
Yay! Yay!
We've got Doyle on the line. Doyle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome.
right.
So you have a comment or question for us?
Well, you were talking about phrases that you grew up with,
Yes.
and I had one that I grew up with. He that prepares for an emergency never has one.
I love it.
That is the best one we've actually heard today. Most fitting for our show.
It's absolutely true. I mean, I don't think there's anything more true that we've said today. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any examples from life where that's actually come true for you?
Well, I don't know. I've had so many experiences in my life. I'm 80 years old, so I have a lot of experiences of which I've prepared for, and it seems like always comes through smelling like a rose or falling into a mud hole, so to speak.
And if you're prepared, how do you know it's an emergency? So how do you know what kind of experience you've had? Because it was a non-experience, right?
Absolutely.
Well, it's a non-experience, but it's something that I was concerned about at one time, but because of certain preparations that I've made, that what emergency I might have had didn't happen because I was prepared for it.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And that's common sense, if you ask me.
That's a good point.
Well, it could be.
It should be.
It's
Yeah,
probably,
it should be.
It's probably uncommon sense in our day and age right now,
It
but
should be common sense.
it should be common sense. I hope it can become common sense again.
It could be, you bet. Anyway, one other thing I was thinking about was that you can't change unless you accept the responsibility for where you're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
And once you accept the responsibility of where you're at, then you know you can change your life because you've created what you've gone through so far. So until you recognize that responsibility, then you can't really control your life to give you some certain direction.
Yeah, love it.
That's beautiful.
Good wisdom.
Thank you, Doyle. Appreciate your call.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very
You're
much.
very welcome. I'm glad to talk to you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, here's one I have just for Scott. I found this one, and it's just for Scott, so you'll get it here once I say it. Don't put anything smaller than your elbow in your ear.
What?
You know Q-tips, right?
Oh, my God.
Okay.
How,
It's definitely an inside joke, right?
How is this just for me? Is it because of my Q-tip
the
issue?
Q-tip issue, right?
Okay, for those of you listening.
I do use Q-tips, though.
I use Q-tips as
And
well.
so, but I have heard this before, and I actually had a friend bring this up to me years ago. I'm like, what are you talking about?
You're not supposed to put them
No,
in your ear.
you shouldn't put anything smaller than your elbow, and you don't want to get something inside your eardrum, right?
Blah, 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 blah. Until I get hurt, I don't care. I have an obsessive-compulsive problem with Q-tips. I cannot go into a bathroom it's not even a bathroom. Like, I can't walk by Q-tips without having to.
If you see a Q-tip,
if I see a Q-tip,
you have to clean your ears.
I'm like, I'm hell bent. I have to clean my ears.
So, like some people, they see a light switch, they have to turn it on or off 3-4 times.
Yeah.
You see a Q-tip, and you have to clean your ears.
And I've been getting better at not doing it. It's really
hard to resist. You
like,
see it.
If I'm not at home, I won't do it. I've gotten to the point where I don't have to do it anymore. So I'll be at like my parents' home or my mother-in-law's, and and this bugs me. My mother-in-law keeps her Q-tips out in the open in a little jar right by the sink, and she's like, "Here you go, here, let me feed your obsessive compulsiveness." And I'm like, I can now get past it, but then when I get home, if that feeling, if it's been too there, it's like sometimes I'll go check it. But I've moved the Q-tips out of the bathroom so that they're not.
Put them under lock and key.
They're in the hall closet, so I don't see them,
It's not as
except
easy to get
rarely. And so I'm like, I gotta use it now. I'm like a crack addict. I'm like, I gotta have my Q-tip.
Okay, here's another good one. As you go through life, 2 rules never bend: never whittle towards yourself or pee against the wind.
You know, I think the first one's more dangerous. The second one's more disgusting.
Yeah. Well, in it, Ryan, it's a nice little. It's not a poem, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one thing I taught my son. First thing, okay, when you're whittling, you're always going across, away from yourself. You got to avoid the triangle of death. Cut along your leg or your knee. You've all different kinds of safety rules for whittling and knives and such. So, very basic common sense thing there, but I love it.
But I think even in the scouting program, they don't talk about it enough.
No, they don't. That's true.
We used to have the wood chip.
Mm-hmm. It's still around, but
it's not honored. We used to have the wood chip.
Well, you would
and
know.
If you
you're
lost your wood
more
chip,
involved than I am.
you would lose your knife.
Okay. But if you lose your wood chip, you don't necessarily lose your knife. You just
They don't even hand out the wood chip anymore.
Oh yeah,
like most scouts I talk to them about the wood chip, and they're like, "What's the wood chip? You know how much wood can wood chuck chuck? Wood chuck wood?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And they're like, "Is it a game? Is it like Fortnite? What are you kidding me?" And they go off on these tangents. A wood chip. Is that like a woodchuck? You can find them in the woods. Can I?
That's exactly what it is. Go.
It's a card that if I revoke it, you lose your right to hold anything sharp and pointy. It's common sense. That's what the wood chip is. There's also a fire and chip card, right? And you can lose your right to light anything on fire.
Totem chip.
But they don't really do anything with it. They're more concerned about citizenship in the community and a service project than they are about safety and leadership. Safety, I think, is the most important thing you can teach a scout. Responsibility, but you have to teach people to have common sense, because common sense isn't common anymore. It's actually one of the most valuable things I think society is lacking.
I totally agree. Absolutely agree. And that's one thing that I kind of take on myself with my son. Is okay. Yeah, we're going to do your math homework. We're going to do we're going to do that and do your regular book learning, right? But I'm going to teach you the common sense stuff.
You moved to Missouri. Your book learning.
Book learning. And I'm going to teach you the common sense stuff, because for me that's I wouldn't say it's more important, but it's more important.
It's a high value.
All right. Let's see. A few minutes left here. Let's see. You have any other ones, Scott? You wanted to bring up?
The only other one that I had. This one. Oh man, this one. My dad would start these random conversations with the phrase, "So, what do you know?"
Yeah,
and I hated that.
It just bugs.
And his grandpa did it to him, and his dad did it to him. And I found out that it's about what have you learned? Where are you progressing, and how are you working to improve your life?
It's not just
it's not just a saying or a phrase or a quote. It's are you thoughtful in your life and what you're doing? That's more about what it is than anything else. Are you thoughtful in your life? Are you making decisions that are weighed out and measured, or are you just fleeing to every fancy?
Where back in the day it actually maybe had some meaning, whereas now it's just like, hey, it's just like a casual greeting, which you ignore, right? How you doing? It's what do you say? You say, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. How you doing? Which, it's just, it has no meaning to it, essentially. Well, if you're really interested in how I'm doing, well, I'll tell you. Let me tell you how I'm doing, right? So that's my parallel there. Okay, I think the last one I had here, maybe we'll get through this one. We got a few extra ones. A place for everything and everything in its place. And when you're a prepper, you got too much junk. You got to have a place for everything. And so I've tweaked that a little bit. A bag for everything and everything in its bag.
No. Because not everything needs to be hauled around. I think
I like bags.
I
like backpacks. I like bags.
If
I like
Shane were
organization.
Call him the bag lady.
Yeah, you're probably right there, but I like bags.
But I think we focus too much on the gear and not enough on the mindset and not enough on the skill set. And I think that goes right into that quote as well. A place for everything and everything in its place. Like, your mind is where everything should be going. You should be studying. You should be preparing mentally and going through challenges and doing things like our water challenge for the next week. Which is a gallon a day is the top one. 2 gallons, 3 gallons. See what you can get off. But I would even say, hey, if you want to really go gangbusters, try to collect water. It's raining in some parts of Utah right now, some parts of the country right now.
Hopefully you have a stream or a river nearby.
Go pull some water out of the stream or river, purify it, work your process from start to finish.
Walk it there, walk it back.
And I think that will give you a better understanding of really all the things we've talked about today, where your strength is.
I really liked your take on the last quote. I'm going to throw this one at you, and you tell me what you think this means. Still waters run deep. Still waters run deep. What I know that has a really deep meaning, significance, and I put a little bit of thought into it. But that's obviously that saying's been around for a long time. What does that mean, and how does that apply to prepping? What do you think? Okay,
so meaning we used to talk about this when we go rafting. I used to do a lot of whitewater rafting when I was younger, and whitewater canoeing. And it's funny because I'd actually rather go whitewater canoeing than rafting because of the success we had on the canoeing side of things. But I also felt more like an explorer. But the still waters were the deep parts of the river.
That's right.
The shallow parts of the river were rough. They're easier to spot. But
Yeah.
still waters run deep also is
They're more dangerous too.
They're more dangerous. You don't see the things that are sticking up in the water because the water doesn't have to move as fast. It settles, and so when you hit that, the current slows down, and a lot of people will tip their canoes at that point because they're off. They're not prepared for things to change. So they'll tip, and they oftentimes can't get back in. The other problem is like if there's something under the water, you're not going to see it as quickly because it's deeper, because it's more hidden.
Mm-hmm. It's darker.
But also, the still waters run deep is also, I've heard it applied a lot, mostly in my life, is to someone who's quiet and thoughtful.
That's exactly where I was going to take it.
Is they're really deeply thinking about things and analyzing and prioritizing and weighing out what's really important.
A lot of depth to that person.
Yes.
A lot more under the surface than what you just see. There's a lot more depth there. So, yeah, that's exactly where I wanted to lead that one.
Well, it kind of falls into it's better to be quiet than to open your mouth and prove yourself a fool.
Amen to that. I do that all the time right here.
This entire radio show is me being foolish. To a degree. I hope I'm bringing some wisdom, but I think oftentimes in life we get too excited to answer, and we, especially on social media, we answer with a lot of foolishness. We make ourselves a fool by putting out the wrong information and not paying attention to what we should be doing.
Yeah, and I really do my best to try and avoid that. So I want to let you know we do put a lot of effort into trying to give you quality information that is truthful and honest, and that's from me genuine there. Got a few others here.
Okay,
I know we got a few minutes left here. Here's one I really like: good fences make good neighbors. Strong fences make good neighbors.
Interesting. I've never heard that.
Well, think of your community now, right? You live in them really close.
6 foot tall fences, you never see anybody.
Yeah, and you're really close. You're quarter acre or smaller lots.
Okay.
Between your neighbors there, and you don't necessarily know who those neighbors are in a lot of cases. I think, even though they're like your backyard, but it's kind of like an armed society is a polite society, right? That's kind of the same concept.
Let's think back of when that would have been making more sense, right? And the first thought that comes to mind is back in the days where you had cattle. Mm-hmm. And if your cattle got into your neighbor's property and destroyed anything, you're a bad neighbor.
No, absolutely.
Right? Yeah, or if it gets across and then all of a sudden your neighbor's like, oh, well, it's on my yard, rebrand it, it's mine. That's just one idea of what could be many.
Kind of like keeping your front door locked,
Yeah.
It keeps...
Do you believe people used to not lock their front door?
Well, yeah.
I remember as a kid, we never locked the front door. I lived in Idaho.
People come and go, neighbors.
Mid-sized town in Idaho, and we didn't lock the doors ever. And even when I was home growing up, we didn't lock the door unless we were leaving the house. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in a household where as soon as the door is closed, you lock
it behind you. Yep.
And it's completely different than what I grew up with.
Yeah. And I think if this is the last one, I think this is a great one to end on. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I absolutely believe it, and I try and do my best to live that every day.
So reading the Millionaire Secrets books and a lot of these other books, one of the common themes I find is the men that have millions and that are wise about it, they get up awfully early. Mm-hmm. And they have time of meditation. They have time to really hone themselves and become a better person and get their goals straight so they can accomplish them. But you don't have anything if you don't have your health.
And for me, that works best in the morning. I'm invigorated in the morning, and there's our music.
Man, it's been an awesome show. Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in this week on Prepper Talk Radio and listening to our old-timey quotes and being thoughtful with us today. So hopefully you can take the challenge. We'll catch you next week here on Prepper Talk Radio at K-Talk AM 1640. Peace out.